Hi guys, my name is Sam. I'm here representing the Philadelphia Mycology Club and the Philadelphia Field Naturalist Club. We're doing a mushroom walk today, and we're going to try and find some interesting mushrooms. We're out here walking around near the Wissahickon Environmental Center, near the treehouse. I wanted to get you guys excited about the upcoming Bioblitz, which is going to be this weekend, September 25th through September 28th. The Bioblitz was inspired by the City Nature Challenge, which is an event where people from all over the greater Philadelphia area, including Philadelphia County, Bucks County, Montgomery County, Delaware County, Camden, Burlington, and Gloucester counties in New Jersey, they go out and they use the app iNaturalist to log anything you find that's alive, and it contributes towards a really nice survey of what we have going on in this area, and we compete with other cities worldwide to see who has the most biodiversity. So I want to do a little bit to show you guys some cool stuff about mushrooms and how you can effectively observe them and log them on the app iNaturalist. So over here we have a mushroom called Sterium ostrea, and I know that this is Sterium ostrea because it's growing right out of dead wood. It has this pretty colored pattern on the top. I can tell that this is Sterium and not Trametes because when I turn it over on the bottom, it's completely smooth and tan and not white. Some people would call this false turkey tail. That's a really commonly used English name for this mushroom, because it kind of does look like turkey tail, which is Trametes versicolor. We actually also have some turkey tail growing on this same log. It's over here a little bit. And you can see the difference in color. This one is more brown on the top and it has white around the edges. If we were to walk over there and pick some, we would turn it over and see that the underside of the turkey tail is white and it has pores. It's not completely smooth like the Sterium ostrea. Turkey tail is often foraged by people who are looking to use it medicinally to boost their immune system. And if you're interested in that, I recommend doing your own research. So over here, we have some really beautiful fresh oyster mushrooms. The species name is Pleurotus austriatus. And I can tell that they're oyster mushrooms because they're growing directly from a downed log. And if I were to pick one, I would see that the gills on the bottom are decurrent, meaning that they go down the stem to the base of the mushroom where it meets the tree. If I were to take a spore print of this mushroom, it would have white spores. And that's one of the ways that you can tell it apart from some of its lookalikes, like a Crepidotus species, which is really common in this area. These oysters would be edible if we were interested in foraging them, but foraging is not allowed in the Wissahickon, so we're going to leave these for some nice animals to come find later. This area that we've been exploring just now is a very large beech tree that has fallen over. When you're looking for mushrooms, one of the things that you want to do is look for logs that have fallen or well-established trees that look like they might be in the process of dying. That's typically where you would find a lot of really good mushrooms because they tend to eat decaying wood. I think that's pretty much what I got to say about this beach. I guess we wanted to use iNaturalist. Oops. Okay. There's some more oysters. So over here we have another nice fresh cluster of oysters. And since there's so many here, I'm gonna go ahead and put them on iNaturalist. When I open the iNaturalist app, it shows me everything I've logged in the past. And I'm gonna go ahead and press this little plus sign at the bottom, and I'm gonna press take photo. And then I'll open my camera and go right down here and take a photo of these beautiful oysters. I also want to be sure to grab a picture of the underside of them so that I can effectively observe them. You always want to take a picture of them growing where they were. So if they were growing in the ground, you want to take a picture of them while they're still in the ground. If they were growing from wood, you want to take a picture of them while they're still growing in the wood. And then after I've taken my pictures, I can click this "What did you see" button, and it'll bring up a search as to what it thinks these mushrooms might be. I already identified these as Pleurotus austriatus, so I'll go ahead and select that one. And I'll click this check mark. My location tags were already on because I am an avid user of iNaturalist, but you want to make sure that when you take the photo that your location tags are on. That way it can see where you are, log it, so you can come back to find that later, and so people who are studying this area can get a good idea of what's actually here. Oh, here's a cute little mushroom. I don't know who this is, but he's very cute. He was growing directly from wood. He's got nice gills on the bottom. So if I wanted to, I could take a picture of him, upload him to iNaturalist, and maybe they'll have a guess for me. So I'm going to upload that, and hopefully somebody will come by and identify it later, somebody who knows a little bit more than I do about little tiny gilled mushrooms that pop out of wood. And that's one of the great things about the app iNaturalist, is that if I don't know what it is and the app doesn't know what it is, somebody else who knows more than I do can come back and view my observations later and put an identification on it. So 2 days from now, I'll be able to go in and see that observation and put a name to what I found. And that's pretty exciting. Oh, look at these pretty guys. So these are something called Mycena leana. They are so cute. And they have this bright orange color to them. You can see them here. I'll pick one. Look at these beautiful orange gills. And I know these are Mycena leana because I have some experience handling these, but typically if you're gonna find something that was bright orange in this area growing directly from wood and you turn it over and it has orange gills, it's a pretty safe bet to say Mycena leana. They typically grow in clusters like this on well-decayed logs. They're pretty common in this area from summer into fall. Earlier today, I showed you guys Sterium ostrea. This is another type of sterium here, this orange pencil shaving looking thing growing out of this log. This one is called Sterium complicatum. So it's sort of like a cousin to the one that I showed you earlier that was that false turkey tail. And this one typically has this look where it's orange or tan and sort of looks like pencil shavings growing out of dead wood. One of the important things to remember when you're looking for mushrooms is that it's really important to move very slowly. They're always a lot smaller than you think they'll be. Sometimes they're very well camouflaged into the wood that they're growing out of or into the leaf litter that they might be growing out of. So it's important to move really slowly and take long, hard looks at the areas that you're walking through. It's been a little bit since we had a nice rain here in Philadelphia, but over the summer, this particular area had huge flushes of beautiful agaricus mushrooms pretty much everywhere. That was really kind of beautiful and fun to see. So I'm going to be moving pretty slowly through here. See if I can spot any. This is just an old Cereoporus varius. We find these a lot. And they typically grow on little branches like this one I found it on. They're not too exciting. This little polypore down here is something called Niveoporofomes spraguei. And this one's looking a little old these days. They tend to be fresh in the summer when they would be white with brown or even green sometimes around the edges. And they're known to have a feature called guttation, which means that little droplets of liquid will form on the mushroom, and that's a pretty good sign that you have a Niveoporofomes. They typically will be found growing at the base of pretty large oak trees like this one here, So this is pretty characteristic of the habitat. Like I said, this one's looking a little old these days. They're reaching the end of their season, but it's still nice to find them. And old oak trees like this one can be a really good place to look for mycorrhizal mushrooms. The word mycorrhizal means that the mushrooms have a special relationship with the trees where they exchange sugars for moisture and lipids, and they basically form a symbiosis with each other. So some typical mycorrhizal mushrooms that you might find associating with an oak tree would be chanterelles, which are popular in the summertime, black trumpets, which will be running through the middle of October, and then oak trees that are dying are also really good places to look for saprotrophic mushrooms. Saprotrophic mushrooms are mushrooms that start to appear as the tree is dying or after it has already died. So you might find something like maitake, which is a big popular fall edible growing out of the base of large oak trees that are starting to die. And then after the tree dies, you may find other saprotrophic mushrooms on it, like chicken of the woods, or artist conch, Ganoderma applanatum, and other really good saprotrophic mushrooms really tend to like oak trees.
Is there anything else that folks should know about mushrooms and fungi?
So I get a lot of questions about the ecology of picking mushrooms, because you see that even doing this video, even if I wasn't going to eat the mushrooms, I picked some of them to have a look at the underside, give them a good identification. The mushrooms are only the fruiting body of a much larger fungus that lives either inside of the tree or in the ground. So when you pick a mushroom, it's reminiscent of picking an apple off of a tree, where I didn't have to kill the tree to harvest the apple. So it is okay to leave or to pick mushrooms, to identify them and to have a look at them. And mushroom foraging is actually, very sustainable. The ethics of foraging mushrooms kind of get tricky when you think about taking away from the animals or insects who might be feeding on those mushrooms and relying on them as a food source, especially in a delicate ecosystem like the Wissahickon, where we're in the middle of a very large city and the animals have limited resources to them anyway. So I personally like to leave things in the woods, even if I already picked it, to give it an identification so that something else can come along and have a nice snack. The other thing that you might be interested in would be knowing what I bring to the woods if I'm going to be looking for mushrooms. I have this cool little hand-held jeweler's loop with a little light on it, so I can take a closer look at something if it's really tiny. That's really helpful for identifying really small things. Also really helpful for identifying slime molds, which are not mushrooms, but I tend to find them a lot, and they're really cool, so I like to look at them. And then some other things that I brought with me that I'd love to show you are field guides, so that if I don't know what a mushroom is and iNaturalist doesn't want to load for me because I'm in the woods, I can pull out my field guide and try and get a good guess of what it is. So this is my favorite field guide for this area. It's called Mushrooms of the Northeastern United States and Eastern Canada. And it's really comprehensive. It's arranged by spore color, which you can tell from the top of the page. See, this one is pale colored spore prints, or pink spore prints, dark spore prints, and it has lots of really nice pictures in it. So if you're looking for a nice guide to help you make your way through the beginnings of taxonomy and identification of mushrooms, this is a great one. If you're looking to do just some really simple mushroom identification, maybe your interests lie with foraging, or maybe you're trying to get your kids interested in biodiversity, this is another really great book, Mushrooms of the Northeast. This was written by a very nice man named Walt Sturgeon. He's very smart. And this is a good field guide for kids because it's about pocket sized. They have these nice little bubbles in the corner where you can see when during the year you'll find them, and also what the substrate is that they're growing out of, so you can quickly rule out, like, oh, I found this on the ground, not on dead wood, so that's not it. Also, in the beginning of the book, they go through popular edibles, and they list them all together, and then right after that they have really common toxic mushrooms all listed together. So if you're thinking about foraging something to eat, you want to be sure that it's not something like a deadly galerina, or chlorophyllum molybdenus, or one of the deadly amanitas. And this is a really nice book for quickly ruling those things out. I think that is pretty much all I have to say about mushrooms and how to forage them or how to identify them. I really hope that I will see all of you guys posting to iNaturalist this weekend, so that we can get a lot of finds logged for the Bioblitz. And I hope that if you guys aren't able to participate this weekend, you will work on putting an iNaturalist together for yourself, and you'll be able to participate in the City Nature Challenge this upcoming April. Thank you guys for watching.